He was trying to kiss you and grope you and touch you. He asked you to
remove my
your
panties. So I removed my top, forced me to pin me down on the bed. I just say, don't tell other people. Just keep it to myself. Even if I were to tell other people, they might not feel comfortable. So what is the point? It's horrific. I mean, you feel the shame, the deep dirt. I mean, at my age, they think that it's normal to have sex. I don't know. To me, I'm not comfortable to go to that level.
Hi, welcome to HeyJuni. HeyJuni is a platform that provides on-demand, instant support for women who faces trauma and anxiety stemming from sexual violence. We provide an anonymous and safe space to talk to our trained and vetted peer supporters through text, voice, and video call. So if you would like to know more about us, visit us at www.heyjuni.com. So today, this conversation that I'm having is a heart-to-heart conversation with Steffi, an amazing woman who has survived sexual violence in her life. And we would be hearing from her about her story, how she grew up, how she has coped and lived with that experience. Hi, Steffi. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
I'm very grateful that you're here, and I know we met before and we have kind of talked and briefed a little bit about what you are doing and who you are and what your experience with sexual violence was. However, I want to emphasize again that while we're having this conversation here today, if there is anything or any moment where you feel uncomfortable, where you feel like you need a break, or just get out of the room for a bit, or even talk to our therapist. Nora, our therapist, she's here with us. She's sitting right there. So if you need assistance, then anytime, you just let us know and we'll be there for you. Tell me a bit about your life before that incident happened. How was your childhood? How were you as a child? How was life like?
In a way, carefree life. Even though I lost my mom when I was very young, less than when I was around 5. I pretty much was quite independent. My grandparents and uncles looked after me. And so I think I'm considered pretty free-spirited. And in a way, I do know a little bit of what's right and what's wrong. And of course, as a kid, I do have my naughty side.
And within your family, I hear that you grew up very independently, and that you were able to take care of yourself even as a child. Which actually contributes to build your resilience and your strength, and that's how I also see you as a very resilient person. When growing up in that environment, was there anything unusual
for me? Well, from what I know is, let's say, because I lived with my grandparents, my dad lived on his own after my mom passed away. So on weekends, he would pick us up, and live with him.
So let's talk about the incident that you mentioned last time also, if you don't mind. And I think there is definitely a connection between how you grew up, in what environment you live, because you were on your own basically as a child. I know grandparents were there, but you know how it is, grandparents they are a generation away. They probably worked back then, and they had like their own lives and problems, and they took you in as like the granddaughter, but still, right, like you're not like under the direct care of your parents, because your mom was not there, your dad was not there, so you're by yourself. So that is so tough, growing up by yourself. So I feel like, what happened might have contributed to the incident that happened. So would you like to share with me what happened again?
Yeah. That happened when I was staying with my grandparents.
How old were you then?
I think probably between 5 to 7. Yeah. So we live in a flat, and the neighbors are very sociable. Yeah. So this one time, I mean, the neighbors would gather and gamble. So one time, they were gambling. These neighbors gathered together. They were gambling in a room, and then there is this teenage boy. He actually a neighbor. So he asked me whether I wanted to play a game. So being a playful kid, I said sure, yeah, I want. What is it? Then he sort of say, oh, okay. In this game, I will you remove your clothes, and then I will I cannot remember whether he said I will hug you or something like that, but he said that you will just say help, help, help me, that kind of thing. Yeah, and I guess I wasn't developed then. I thought, okay, it's just a game. I didn't think there's something wrong with it. So later on, then I said, okay, so I removed my top, and then he kind of gently, he didn't really force me to pin me down on the bed, but I couldn't remember the between, but then he would like kind of kind of smother me, and then like kind of kiss me here and there, groping here and there. Then he said, oh, you must yell, help, 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 that kind of thing. So that's what I did. And I think after a while, I didn't like the game, so I told him to stop. Then he stopped. There's no violence actually, but it's just like it's like very normal. And actually there were people on the other side gambling, and nobody actually came to see, when I was yelling help, help. Nobody was, they probably thought a kid was playing, that kind of thing.
You were in a different room.
Yes, but very close. Just next, And then later on, after I said, oh, I don't want to play this game anymore. And then he said, okay, do you want to play another game? Yeah, where you remove all your clothes. And then that's when I started feeling uncomfortable. Then I said, no, I don't want to play anymore. And just then, my friend, a neighbor around my age also, she appeared. And then she looked at me. And I just, again, felt shameful. Yeah, so... there's the look in the face, like she couldn't believe it. What was I doing and all that?
When you were in that situation, and you said before, like you took off your shirt or your top, and you said that he was trying to kiss you and grope you and touch you. You already felt uncomfortable, but you still like kind of like see it as a game, as in there's nothing harmful. Is that what I understand correctly? At that, like until that moment.
Yeah.
And then only after he asked you to
remove my
bottoms,
panties. Yeah.
And did you remove your bottoms?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it made you like, even as a child, like a 6-year-old child, you already know like there's something wrong about it.
Yeah, and only years later, when I got a little older, I don't know, I can't remember how old, I realized that it was molested, and I could have been raped if I had,
You also mentioned just now that there was this other girl that came into the room and saw what happened, and you felt ashamed.
Yeah, very embarrassed, and I was caught in this situation, and. Yeah, I can't remember whether I thought it was what I did was wrong. Yeah, but I just felt lousy. probably felt both. Like what I did was wrong, and also like this situation is very weird. Yeah. Yeah, it's like unnatural, but it's only after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what happened after, like after the incident, like right after?
Yeah, I quickly wore my clothes, and then I couldn't remember, but I probably talked to my friend for a while. We were just playing, something like that. Yeah, and then she looked at me like as if like, I don't know, something, what were you, like, what were you doing? You know, how come, why were you like that? And that kind of thing. Yeah, it was very embarrassing. Yeah, I felt shameful lah.
It's weird, isn't it? Like, actually, you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, but then,
Right. But you still feel that you, as if you did something wrong.
yeah, I felt like maybe I agreed to it.
Yeah, but you know, like it's not your fault, and you didn't do anything wrong. And in situations like that, remember, you are a 6-year-old. You don't know, like as a child that age, you don't know what's going on. And you know, like these things even happen to adults and adult women, adult females, and when they're in that situation, it's very difficult to know, like to have like keep a cool head and know what's going on. Sometimes women our age being put in this situation would react the same. It's not your fault. It's not because you didn't have a choice here. You were coerced into this situation, you know.
Yeah, I didn't know any better, I guess.
Yes, and then it was framed as a game. It started off as a game, and you agreed to the game because it was initiated as a game, and then it turned into a violent thing. And that moment, you probably, even as a child, you felt like, oh, but he said it's a game, so
Yeah.
maybe I should trust him or something like that.
Yeah.
Of course,
yeah.
we can't say for sure what it was exactly, but it's very complex now to analyze that situation, like what you thought, but there was absolutely no fault on your end.
Yeah. But interestingly, I remembered also when he said a game, I did in a way felt like, oh, well, you know, he's a neighbor, he can be trusted.
Yeah, exactly.
So I went along with it. And of course, nobody taught me that it's shameful to, you know, to remove your clothes in front of strangers for that kind of thing. Nobody taught me that. So I didn't know it was, and yet, you know, after the whole thing happened, I felt shame.
Yeah.
So
You
I
also
guess,
said you felt dirty, right?
yeah, felt dirty.
And how long did this feeling stay with you? The shame and the feeling of you feeling dirty?
Oh, very long. Even now, once in a while, I do feel shameful. But not as bad as when I was younger. Like when I was 13 years old, when I realized that it was molested.
How did you realize, first of all, that you were like, how did you come to that realization?
I don't know, maybe a series of events or things I watch on TV, or when people talk about rape. Yeah. Then when I realized that that could mean rape. So yeah, so that's when I started feeling awful and again relief at the same time, because it didn't. To me, I comfort myself that it's good thing is just molesting. What if he raped you? I think I would have much difficulty recovering from it. Yeah, even though it's not my fault, like I didn't ask for it because I didn't know any better. Yeah.
And you said even like now, like you would still feel some sort of shame talking about it, because it is true that it is not easy to talk about these things. Like the the shame sits so deep, and because you haven't probably shared it with anyone until today, it has become somewhat like part of your personality that you're unable to talk about it. But how is it now for you when you talk to me, for example?
Well, I actually, I think I cannot remember whether I used to share it with my psychologist. But I did share, I just not long ago with a friend. She was actually raped. Yeah, because she shared the story first, and then so that kind of opened up for me to share my story. Yeah, but I wouldn't like casually share it with anybody. I don't even tell my friends. I don't remember, or maybe just briefly. It's like I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. But the reason I talk now is because I hope that it will help some other people if they have gone through this. Yeah, that it has happened before, and I don't know. Hopefully, they will find some reason to overcome it, to talk about it, to get so that they can get better. Yeah.
Do you feel like when you talk to me about this, or when you talk to your friend about this, do you feel like it gives you some sort of relief? And after talking, it feels, a part of you feels lighter?
Oh yeah, I do. And I feel like a secret side of me has been revealed to other people. It's like, like, I don't know how to explain it.
Okay, take your time.
A little bit of the shame has chipped away. Yeah.
And it's, like I find it very brave, because when it got ingrained into you that it is something shameful, it's something dirty, and you don't want to share and talk about it with others, even though one rational side of yours tells you, actually, no, I didn't do anything wrong. So that side of yours probably tell you, actually, I can talk about it, but how come I cannot talk about it? So there's like this internal fight, maybe, within you, that one side tells you, I want to share this with someone so that I can finally get some validations that I wasn't doing anything wrong, or I just want to talk about it to feel good. But then on the other side of you is saying, but no, it's so like I shouldn't talk about it. It's too shameful. But that's why I'm saying it's very brave that you made this step. So I think the first step is that you actually reach out to some professional to talk about it. Then you open up towards your friend, and yes, she opened up first, so that gave you kind of like the opportunity to also share your story, but also opening up towards me and sharing this with me. It's very, very brave. Yeah, it requires a lot of courage. When you said that after that incident happened, years later you would still feel shame, and even until today you would still have that feeling and the difficulties to talk about it. What did you do? Like, what are the things that you did in order to cope with that?
I don't think I did anything. I just kind of I just say don't tell other people. Yeah, just keep it to myself. Because I don't think I feel like even if I were to tell other people, they might not feel comfortable. So what is the point? Yeah, and I might receive backlash, Why don't you, like, you ask for it? Something like that.
What are the backlashes that you fear about, for example?
Maybe they will say, serves you right. Yeah, or why are you telling me this? So I fear the negatives. So I just kept quiet, and I didn't tell don't remember telling anybody. Yeah.
And so you didn't tell anyone at all? Like not your parents, sorry, not your dad?
Oh, not my dad.
Yes, I assume so, because there was no connection.
And I fear him as well.
Yeah.
And I guess even though I want justice to be done, but I'm also afraid that he might kill that guy. Yeah, and not just that person, but another guy, another neighbor, he also molested me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, but this one is, again, it's in the open. We were in our living room, and this guy was reading.
Your home?
Yeah, in my grandmother's home.
And so that means that it's someone you know?
Yes, my neighbor, another neighbor. And he came to my my grandparents' flat, and I mean, it's quite normal. You know, we play and all that. Then
how old were you then?
Around that age as well, or even younger. I couldn't remember. I think that one happened after this first one. I think I can't remember, but I just know that we were like, he was reading a book, and then I was sitting next to him like reading also, and then he kept stroking my thighs, and I say, "Stop it! You know, this is not something like this is not
appropriate."
No, it's not. It's more like I mean, here the book here, you know, something that pointed to him. Not my legs, you know. Then I say, "Why are you stroking my legs?" You know, and he kept doing it for a very, very long time. I remember my grandmother was around. Yeah, but I didn't tell my grandmother. Look, grandmother, he's, you know. I just keep telling it, stop it, stop it, stop it. You know, why are you doing it? And it never occurred to me again. It was like he was taking advantage of me. It was more like, what's wrong with this guy? Why did he keep stroking my thighs? Yeah, then, only years later, then I realized, it's molesting, because like, well, I mean, there's no reason for him to keep stroking, you know, like, stroking my thighs all the time, for a long time. And he was reading, and, you know, like his hands, one of his hand was on the book, and then the other hand was like just stroking me. And even though I kept telling him to stop, he didn't stop. Yeah, and I wasn't angry either. It was kind of weird. Yeah, I wasn't even angry. It was kind of weird. I mean, I should be angry. It's like, but I was, So again, as I got older, I realized again this is a molest attempt. Yeah.
Did anything else like similar to the two incidents happened also?
It happened when I was a teenager. When I think was 16 or 17. At that time I was giving tuition part-time. So this one was like by a stranger. I was walking along this road, and it was lit up, but and then there was this cyclist. He came by, and then I can't remember whether it was once or twice. And then he looked at me, smiling, talking, and then after that, I didn't really respond. I was just like going to my doing my thing, and then later on, I suddenly felt a hand grab my breast, touch my breast, and then the cyclist zoomed past. Yeah, I was shocked, very shocked, and
scared, right? Because it was outside, and you were not even in your home, and a complete stranger touching you.
I was like, okay, shocked, like, oh my gosh, what did he just do? And I didn't run after him because I know that I couldn't catch up with him. And I thought you had to go, go to give tuition. Yeah. And I think it happened also another time, another person, also on a bicycle. Yeah, so actually up till now, whenever I walk, whenever I hear a cyclist, I'll always cover myself.
And that's why you also earlier you said like you wouldn't feel comfortable like traveling alone.
No.
Yeah. when you were like you said, like you wanted justice actually, right? Like you wanted to let the world know, but at the same time you couldn't. Like what else? Like what else were the things that you did or try to do in order to make yourself in the moment that there's sometimes, like sometimes these memories come back and you think about them and maybe you feel scared, or whenever you walk the street and you see another cyclist coming by, you are scared and you are reliving that memory. What do you do?
Just think of ways to protect myself. I didn't think of telling anybody because it's like it's a small, it's significant, but at the same time it's like it will like kind of like make my friends feel uncomfortable or any listener uncomfortable.
Has anyone told you that it is uncomfortable to talk about such things? Or have not maybe telling you directly, but have you heard any examples before of people feeling uncomfortable, hearing about these things or this topic?
Not really. Yeah, but I do notice that whenever I say something negative, then people would just like don't tell me all these
Turn
things.
Away.
Yeah.
You're fearing that they're turning away from you.
Yeah.
Can I ask, after like those incidents, how did you change as a person, or how did you change emotionally?
Very guarded.
Guarded, okay.
Yeah. I think I probably fear intimacy with men as well.
You fear it. How was that during the years when you grew up as a teenager, like with boys? When you maybe like were interested in a boy, or when a boy was interested in you, like how did it make you feel about building relationships too? I guess it's normal as a teenager. We are interested in other boys, or boys are interested in girls. So, but how was that experience for you?
I think that time I felt like, I'm not sure whether it's influenced by all these experiences, but I felt like, I'm too young to have a relationship. So even if I like a guy, I tell myself it's just a crush. Yeah, but as I get older, when I wanted to start something serious, I have a lot of fears. Yeah.
Can you describe that to me? Like, what do you mean with like a lot of fears? Like, what are the fears? Like, what are you fearing about?
I think I fear violence, physical violence. It's a major thing. Yeah. And of course, infidelity. Yeah, sadness, because I don't think I can handle it. So basically, I was not able to go further than an interest or a crush. So I'm always single. Yeah. Yeah. Even now, I would like again to find a companion, but I just I'm kind of again wary, but of course like more prepared in a sense, like what I will let I tell myself mentally, what things I'll look out for, or what I'll tell the guy, what's important to me, the limits, the boundaries that I draw. It's like and to tell myself that if the guy doesn't accept that, then maybe you have to step out.
So you are drawing what kind of boundaries?
Okay, like if I see some anger in that guy, or the obvious one is violence, then of course it's a no. Yeah, and if you want sex, even if I don't want to me it's a no. Or what do you call it?
Did it happen before that you didn't want sex, but it happened because that guy wanted it?
No. But I guess I felt like at this age, everybody, at my age, they think that it's normal to have sex. I don't know. or maybe I watch TV, influenced by that. But to me, I'm not comfortable to go to that level, to that. Yeah, even if I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'm too soon to tell. But I just know that I will be a wreck if all these things happen. And yeah, there won't be, I won't want anybody to be burdened by it. Yeah, so
that means that whenever you actually met someone and maybe become closer, because you like that person obviously, but for you it's do I hear correctly that it is actually hard to become closer to a person emotionally and physically?
Oh yeah, I actually stopped quite a few relationships. Actually, one was I like one very much. But apart from all these things, I felt that I'm not a good match for that person. Yeah, so I didn't continue. I didn't encourage.
Why wouldn't you be a good match? Like what made you think so?
Oh, that guy is a very eligible man. He's good looking, rich, but looks like he will do well in life. Yeah. Whereas for me, I have a trouble background. I felt ashamed. So I kind of discouraged him. Then a few others as well, and I think one of them I felt like might lead to sex, which I didn't want to, so I didn't encourage it.
Sometimes when you're in a relationship or you meet someone, it could be that you have a very clear standpoint. I don't want to have sex before marriage because of these reasons that I have. But have you ever felt coerced by someone to, to do that? Pressured to do that?
I had one, but it was quite comical.
Comical?
I don't know. Well, I was at a very difficult period of my life, and then I went for a holiday, and there was this guy. He was like saying, "Oh, why don't we meet again the next day? I can bring you around Sydney and all that." So I was like, "Yeah, why not? Be social." And then later on, the next day came. He said that, why don't we go to my flat first? I felt like something was wrong, but again, even though I know it was wrong, I felt like something was not right. I just went.
You just went.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then I went to his place, and then we sat down. He talked for a while, and then he kissed me, and I was like, what? And I was like stunned. And the funny thing is that after that, he looked at me and then he started kind of swearing, get out of the house.
So just all of a sudden, he would be swearing at you like after kissing you?
Yes. I think maybe I wasn't responding. I don't know. That's why I find it comical. It's like, luckily he swore and said, get out of the house, because I wouldn't. I don't know what happened to me. I really didn't have any sense of danger. And I kind of slowly ambled out. And I could hear him actually coming out of the place as well. And I couldn't walk any faster. And then I left. Yeah, so I think he wanted us, he thought that I would be, but fortunately it didn't happen.
So in that moment you were shocked, right? Like when he just like out of nothing and kissing you. And you said that even though like you felt like it was off, but you couldn't, it felt like you couldn't do anything, like you were frozen?
Yeah. I don't know. It's like looking back, I was like, how come you cannot think that this is not us, Why do you agree?
Because I think just now you said like you didn't even say anything and you weren't reacting at all. And that's when he actually then didn't see a reaction coming back, and then he started to actually harass you with his words.
Yeah, but I'm also glad that despite all this, even though I couldn't take care of myself, but nothing violent happened. Yeah.
Why
Yes,
would you say nothing violent? What would you consider violent?
He wouldn't stop raping. He would rape me, or he would, like force me, something like that.
It's funny because actually it's not funny. It's a wrong word. It is strange, right, for us women to think that it is not violent, because when something similar happened to me, and it happened, once when I was an adult as well, where I was in a situation similarly like that, and I also thought, yeah, it's not violence. But back then, I really thought it wasn't violence because, well, I wasn't raped, but violence is not equals to rape only. Yeah, so it is strange how our psychology tells us it's not violence, even though it was against our will. It was something that you didn't plan to do, and obviously you didn't return that affection, correct? Like you didn't return that affection, and even the moment you stepped into his apartment, you already felt off. But it's just like it's hard to to reject, maybe, right? And then that's why you were like, okay, maybe let's just be friendly. Let's just say hi, and I'll just visit him. But like, there's nothing more. But you already don't have that same affection to respond to him, to his kiss. But he could, respectively actually check out first whether you would be interested before doing that. So to me, that is obviously violence. And then when you didn't respond the way he expected you to respond, he started harassing you verbally. Yeah, it is violence to me. And I think there was a bit of luck there, but you were brave. You were brave in, even though you said, oh, you don't know what to react and how to react, and you kind of like froze at that moment, but you were brave to actually walk out of there and to just kept on walking and walking out of there,
I just asked myself, what's wrong with you? Yeah, like, like, basically it's like, you cannot take care of yourself. Yeah, it was like, wake up.
Wake up.
Yeah, it's like, what were you? But of course, I think that time I wasn't able to think clearly. I mean, I don't know, not able to obey my I don't know, my protective senses.
Did you blame yourself for that for a long time?
I'm not I just asked myself, like, I think I'm just like puzzled. How come I reacted? Why I agreed, and why I couldn't move fast. I guess the only thing I can think of was because I was not in a good, mentally I wasn't in a good shape.
And if I can ask you about, like, how you shared and open up about your story or stories with that friend of yours who experienced rape. When you were talking to her, and obviously she's not a professional, she's just someone with a lived experience as well. A different story to yours, like you have a different experience to her, but when you talk to her, like, did you feel like you were able to open up completely and felt like it helped to talk to someone who's your equal, kind of?
In a way, it gave me courage to open up. I think also because I felt that her experience was even worse than mine. Yeah, because she was raped by her uncle. Sorry, I mean, I'm not sure whether I should say this. Yeah, and it was not just once, but like multiple times. And because when she said that, I was just, was very shocked in disbelief. And, I mean, because from her sharing that, I also gave me a little courage to open up, because I know that, I mean, for me, I felt like she will not shame me. And thankfully, I didn't feel like, oh, she would say, oh, yours is nothing, you know? So I just said a bit like, oh, I was like molested before, and thankfully I wasn't raped. Yeah. So, I just like, I felt that if I were in her shoes, I don't think I can function at all. Yeah.
And after talking to her, were you able to open up more towards other people?
No, I don't think I want to open up and tell people about my story. Yeah, unless like they share, and yeah.
I see.
I think if I'm not wrong, I actually shared with my aunt not long ago.
So
And
like when you shared with her when you were already an adult.
yeah, in fact, not long ago, like maybe a few months back,
Yeah.
my aunt I said, oh, you know, when I was young, I was being molested by this, and she was like very nonchalantly and like just like it's nothing serious, you know. She just went about doing her own business.
What did she say exactly?
Actually, she did. I don't remember her reacting. She was like, okay, so we got molested, something like that. I mean, not her exact words,
And
but
not
it's like,
very interested.
yeah. So, okay,
How did it make you feel at that moment?
kind of confirmed, like it doesn't matter.
But there was a reason why you actually went to her and shared with her, because probably you trusted her somehow, right?
Yeah. And she used to go to those places to gamble as well. Yeah. As I got older, whenever I go to that place, I would glare at him and to see how he would react.
He's still there.
Yeah, like when I was in my 20s, yeah, I would just like look at him, and then he was like no reaction, and we didn't talk. As I grew older, we don't talk, and then he would like nothing happened. And I also found out that he actually has a kid of himself as a boy, and again, I don't know why I didn't want to tell other people. Yeah.
How did it make you feel like after that incident, whenever you meet him again and see him again? Like what were you feeling and how were you experiencing it?
I felt anger, and I wish that he got caught. But then again, it's like, but I won't speak up, so he will not get caught. Yeah, and it's so long ago. I do not know how the authorities will take it. Yeah, and maybe I felt like it's a hassle, like to confront him. So I just like, in a way, like I wish that something bad would happen to you. Yeah, so that's all.
What kind of hassle would you anticipate if you confront?
Not just not confronting, but like report to the police, molesting and all that. So they probably will like question me very closely. You know, how old were you then? That kind of thing. Then I felt like it would be quite draining. And then like, then they will bring that guy into question. Then what if that guy denied? You know, then I was a kid then. How you know, like I felt like I don't think they will listen. You know, it's like even other people don't listen. So.
Why would they listen to a child or a child's story?
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I feel like you've gone through quite a lonely childhood and even like during your adolescent years with all of the growing up by yourself and then all of the problems that you have but have no one to share with. Do you think that it has like because of this is not just the only thing, of course, but it is somewhat very significant in your life, the sexual violence experience that you had, and not being able to have someone to help you with this as a child, not having someone to support you on your emotional journey. Do you feel like this has left you being not just lonely, but also changing you as a person? Because I think I remember you said you were an active little girl, and do you think that changed your personality?
Yeah, much. I'm more quiet. I don't know, serious, depressed. Very difficult. I mean, I'm learning now. It's slightly better, but for the longest time, I'm not able to be happy. Yeah. Actually, it's kind of ironic because I didn't feel. I mean, of course, I did feel a loss when I was young, but I had my grandmother, my aunties to kind of feed me. So or in a way, take care of me. So I didn't feel anything until I was in my early 30s. Or rather, sorry. I mean, very funny. It's like at significant periods of my life, like when I was 18 and 21, I actually cried for the loss of my mom. It's like, I wish she was there. Yeah, then as I got older, like in my 30s, I went through a loss in friendship, a very close friendship, loss of career, and I felt ill. I was sick for quite a while, and there was nobody I could turn to. I mean, I didn't want to bother my relatives. And then I felt the immense loss of a mom, a mother figure. And even now, it's like I wish I have a mother figure, you know. Things would have been like at least slightly easier for me, life. Because like I struggle a lot and also had problems relating to people. Yeah, so yeah, it's always a struggle. Yeah, only it's just maybe also not so long ago, I tell myself, just be happy, you know, even though there's no reason to be happy. Yeah.
You've gone through a lot of hardships in your life, you know. Yeah. I mean, like from the start, right? It was like set up for you to be alone in this world because your mom was not there. Yeah. Your dad was also not there. Yeah. Even though he exists, but he's not there.
Yeah, and I couldn't, you know, like find someone I can share my life with. So it's just been very hard. Yeah.
When you think back about, you know, the experience you had, was there memories and they just like overwhelm you?
It happened more when I was like in my 20s, right up to maybe my 40s. But now it's not so much because I don't know, maybe I found ways to cope. Yeah, so the shame isn't so much anymore. Yeah.
And I think also a lot of time has passed. You have actually learned and have been educated about, you know, what's right and what's wrong, and you did nothing wrong. So there is this like rational part of you that was able to tell you that, yeah, like I shouldn't be ashamed. But it took a while, right?
Yeah.
It took a while until you realize that. So when you look back to the girl you were back then, like this little Steffi, what will you tell her?
I probably tell her that don't feel bad. You didn't know any better. Don't blame yourself.
And if you look at your 20-year-old Steffi, what would you tell the 20-year-old Steffi?
You mean now? Tell her that I'm very sorry that you had to go through all this. it has changed your, it has affected you and shaped you into becoming who you are. I'm very sorry that you had to go through all this.
And what would you tell yourself now?
It's just unfortunate that things don't turn out well for you. Just do the best, whatever you have. Yeah.
Or like, let's look at the things that can make us happy on a daily basis. Like what you said, right? Like even you said just now, like, I don't see any reason to be happy, but somehow I manage to be happy sometimes.
Yeah.
What are the things that make you like, that you can be, you know, that you can make yourself happy with?
Actually, I mean, so far it's like, just be happy, you know? Like, sing a silly tune, hum a silly tune. I think maybe the most recent one is when the boy I taught swimming, very difficult, strong-willed boy, and he kind of finally like, I was able to handle him, get some results, and his dad was pretty happy. I was like, okay, this is, you know, he can be happy about it.
Yeah. Sometimes we overlook these little things, you know, like these little successes, these little achievements. And because our trauma is so big, you know, like you have been carried this trauma of your parents' loss, then how your dad treated you as a child, your experiences with, you know, like physical violence and sexual violence. I think all of this is building up this huge trauma in you. And then when you think of life, you only see these things, but then you overlook these little things in life. They seem to be little, but they contribute to a bigger happiness, right? And we tend to forget about these things. We walk through the day and we are thinking about the past all the time, but we don't look at what's happening today. You achieve to, you know, teach that boy successfully, you know, swimming. You manage to, you know, grab food with a friend, right? Or you meet someone new, like how we met each other, and we just like sillily walk through that mall for hours. So we tend to forget the things that happen in the present, and but that's very understandable, because how can you actually forget such a, you know, such a big trauma that happened in your life, or the traumas that you have had in your life? Yeah. So I think you're very, very, very brave. Really, you're very brave to be able to manage through all of that by yourself. Actually, by yourself.
Yeah. Because I don't have anybody to turn to, I guess.
But that's the hardest thing, because, you know, like the normal path would be, yes, you experience trauma in your life, and you had all of these negative memories, but you maybe meet, like, you know, your life partner, and you are able to share that with someone, or at least continuing life, not alone, but with someone, and sharing the burden with someone. And you don't have that. Like, you didn't have that either in your childhood. You didn't have that in your early adulthood, and you don't have that someone now, and you're by yourself, like you said, but you managed it, and you did it. You've done it so well, because I don't know if I would have been able to do, you know, to go through like you, and be proud of yourself, actually. Yeah.
I'll try to see it that way.
Is there anything else, like within this context, that that you think that you want to share with me also?
I think as one gets older and wiser, one learns how to cope with them. I think as I got older, I don't feel so ashamed like before. And of course, I keep telling myself, you didn't know any better. Yeah. In a way, I say, I'm glad that you came out, not like this horrific, you feel the shame, the deep dirt, and now you learn from it, not to let it happen again.
Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing, really.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, I'm grateful, and I'm very proud of you. And you should be more proud of yourself because you are talking to me, who is somewhat still a stranger to you, right? Like we're friends, but we're not that close to be able to talk about all of these intimate things, I would say. But it's very courageous of you to share this with me. So maybe this is also like one of the last questions that I have. Like, even though we don't know each other well, and you are sharing this story with me, how does it make you feel?
It makes it easier for me to open up. Yeah, but if I don't know, got to know you through work, I don't think I'll open up that much. Yeah.
So through work, it's like someone you know. I mean, you're working together with that person. You wouldn't probably want to share this as it's too intimate and too private, correct?
Yeah. And I don't remember sharing this with my other friends. Yeah, but I'll probably just say, I was molested when I was young. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't think I went through any details.
Yeah, so knowing me as someone who, who is a mental health professional somewhat, and working with HeyJuni, it gives you a certain trust, in the starting in the starting point. But still, we don't know each other well. That's the truth of it. Did you feel like scared, or did you feel that you don't want to open up towards me because we don't know each other?
Not really. Because I know that you are respectful, towards me. This whole process, and you're doing it for a good cause. I won't be able to do this, from a casual conversation. Yeah, but this is like something I can do.
It has to be someone who's, first of all, probably interested in your topic and stay respectful, not judging you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, for giving me this opportunity to be able to help, do my part.
Yes, absolutely.
To make life a bit more meaningful.
Yeah. And I think this topic is very important because it is very stigmatized, and not many people want to open up and talk about it. It happens quite often, like quite frequent, but we tend not to share about it because, like how you experience it, there is some level of shame, whether big or small. There is some level of shame that prevents women from talking about it. Yeah. And you said earlier, now you're an adult already, like the shame and the feeling of dirtiness is not as intense as before anymore. But it's not because you have become an adult. It has passed over years and years and years. Because when women experience this, even in their adult years, let's say if it's the first time, we would still feel shame, and we would still feel like somehow disconnect to our own body with it because it feels off and dirty. Yeah. So you are very, very brave. Very brave, Steffi.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for being part of this heart-to-heart conversation that we had just now. If you feel like you want to be part of HeyJuni's mission to help women, help females who have trauma and anxiety stemming from sexual violence, join us, message us, and be part of HeyJuni as well. And if you have experienced yourself with trauma and anxiety from sexual violence, and you need help and you want to talk it out, you want to have someone listening to you and be there for you and help you cope in the moment, then reach out to us. We'll connect you with our peer supporters.